to our first meeting of the school year. Let's see, I'll call this meeting to order at 7:04 p.m. And Laura, would you please take roll call? She's here. Here.
Here.
Miss Maher. Here. Mrs. O'Leary. Here. Mrs. Shepherd. Mrs. Weisful. Here. Mrs. Middlebrooks. Here. Julia Bay Muradova. Here. Summer Tatro. Here. Did I miss anyone?
I don't believe so. Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to the approval of our agenda and any additions and deletions. So I do have some changes for tonight, and we need to move item B from the budget calendar. Move item F under new business, which is the budget calendar, and we're going to just move it up to where the budget update is under presentations and reports of administration. So we'll need to do that, and also within that same section, we'll need an action to approve the transfer that's referred to in the reference B of that update, as well as we also have our student representatives here tonight, so we'll add that to the agenda after public comments. So is there a motion to make those changes to the agenda? Alan, is there a second? I saw Jen. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. The agenda is approved. Correspondence. Any correspondence, Dr. Macri?
No.
Okay. All right. And just a comment about correspondence. This has been something I've been thinking about. We have this on our agenda. We also have public comments on our agenda. It's a little conflicting. I'm okay with removing that from our agenda going forward. If anyone has any questions about it, just contact me afterwards, and we'll just possibly do that going forward if that's okay with everyone. So we have correspondence, and then we also have public comments. Correspondence is more for, right, but like we sometimes get letters from people as public comments. So we put those under public comments. We can talk about it offline if you'd like, but it was just something I've been thinking about because they're very similar, and we don't tend to have correspondence unless it's like a letter, something Dr. Macri is sharing or something I received that you would share anyway as part of your update. So, all right, so we'll move on to public comments. Before I read the rules, is there anyone here that has a public comment they'd like to share? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to the reports of our student representatives. And who would like to start? Julia? Okay, thank you.
So Cromwell High School had its first day of school on August 30th. The day was filled with many welcome backs and smiles. Student Council has successfully done freshman orientation, an open house, and are currently planning homecoming, blood drive, and more. Newspaper Club, Unity Club, and World Language Club are having their first meeting this week. The Spanish National Honor Society is preparing for the induction ceremony, which will be held on October 20th. Cromwell High School will be administrating the iReady to grades 9 and 10 on September 13th.
Thank you. And we have Summer Tetro.
The fall sports season is just beginning. The football team had their first game Saturday the 9th against Coggins Regional, which ended up being suspended halfway through due to heat, but at that mark, Cromwell had the lead. And their next game will be played this Thursday against SMSA Co-op, which is their first home game of the season. Girls soccer also played their first game this Saturday the 9th against Ellington, which they took home their first win, and their next game will take place tomorrow against Coggins. Boys soccer played today against Westbrook, and their next game will be tomorrow against Rockville. Girls volleyball recently had their first in-season games, most recent being Saturday also, where they took home a win, and their next game will be the 13th in Old Lyme, which they are hoping to take home another win. Girls swimming and diving has a meet tonight against Bristol Central Eastern, and boys and girls cross country had a scrimmage Friday the 1st against Berlin, Granby, and Hillray, and have their second in-season meet Wednesday the 13th, which is Sheehan Invite.
Nice job. Thank you. Are there any questions for our student reps? Okay, thank you both. We'll move on to reports of liaisons from the Town Council, Board of Finance, Cromwell Middle School Building Committee, and Fields Committees. Do we have anyone from Town Council here tonight? Board of Finance? Cromwell Middle School Building Committee, we do have an update, reference A in your packets that you will hopefully have read, but just an update on that. There's been a 2-week pause to finalize some details, and they're hoping to have a joint meeting between our board and the building committee in the next 2 weeks. So that would be for the phase 2, which we were supposed to look at tonight, but we're just on hold for a bit. Anything you want to add about that, Dr. Macri? Is that accurate? Okay.
They're still on track to break ground January 2024, I think, right?
I don't think it's affected any long-term
Okay.
timelines like that. Okay, and then Fields Committee, I don't know if anyone has an update for that.
We have not met since June.
Okay. Okay, good enough. Thank you. And town collaboration updates. Do you have anything you'd like to update us with, Dr. Macri?
I just quickly, I'm trying to make sure it's not on here. So I did submit a letter regarding the HVAC indoor air quality grant that has just come out on September 7th for us to apply for. However, it is a very large undertaking, and it requires the same ideas of what we're going through as far as the building committee. So it's as if you are building a new school or renovating a new school. So I did submit an email to our town manager regarding this HVAC grant program and that it's officially opened. I described the resolutions that would have to be made, and that there's a commitment from the town. There's a cost sharing component of it. It would need to be simultaneous with the building study in order for us to even think about it, because the deadline is December 31st of this year. I don't believe that we have enough time to apply for it unless we get started immediately, and that may be even cutting it close. So I did just submit, because I don't want to be remiss. It is a good opportunity for Cromwell, but I have to get, I would have to get permission from the town to actually begin this process. So I just want to let you know that I've asked, and I haven't heard back yet. The good thing is we can always apply for round 3. I'm pretty sure there will be a round 3 if we get everything together, and then we're starting our facilities study on September 18th. So that's a good thing.
But there'd still be other things we have to do in conjunction with the town and town leadership in order to be ready for if it comes up a next round. Because we are hearing that
Yes.
there's likely to be a next round, so we really.
Yes, as I was stating, I was trying to get us on the same page so that we can apply for round 2. That has taken a little bit of time. We really need to make sure that we get on round 3, because these are funds, state funds, and there's also going to be a federal fund, and we need it, as we talked about, which I could talk about now, the heating situation, the AC situation in a couple of our schools, the gym being one of them at the high school. That would be something that we would be looking to put on the grant application, because we need it. We have, as I think the renovations were 2001, 2002, and they ended up excluding the gym from getting air conditioning as I dug deeper into it. So that would be something that we'd be looking to. Also the shop class. We need AC in there. The weight room is another area. The middle school, nowhere. We need it everywhere, but we know why we're not going to. WIS is okay, and ECS, the cafeteria, the gym, and we really need to look into the kitchen component as well. So with that, I can't dictate what it is. The building committee has to. This is what I would bring forward. I'm pretty sure it's going to be brought forward once we get the facility study, but the facility study would help dictate that, and that'll also help dictate our 5-year capital improvement plan.
And the building committee you're talking about would be a new committee
Has to be
separate
a
from CMS.
Yeah, everyone, it's the same process, but you need to start from scratch.
Thanks.
Sure.
Okay, then we'll move right on to your regular superintendent updates in response to any Board of Ed comments and action items from our prior meeting.
Okay, so I just
If you
talked
have
about the
any.
heat update. It was not great, especially not in a few common areas like we talked about, but we were much better off than a lot of districts with having AC. we need to do something about the gym at the high school and all the other areas I just mentioned. This is a wonderful opportunity if we can actually apply for it at some point. I'm all in. I'm sure Claudio Bazzano, our new Director of Operations, is going to be all in. We just need the time and the right resources and the partnership. Hiring of staff, Ms. DeMoro has been going crazy hiring staff, but she's doing an excellent job. We are still short a few paraprofessionals, a couple special education positions, not for a lack of trying. Everything is posted. We're doing everything that we can to attract people. So Michelle can talk a little bit more about that if you'd like her to. Otherwise, I can move on. What would you like to hear?
Well, she'll be later on in the report, right?
Yeah, she can, when you go to her section too, she can talk about it. So I decided in our best interest that we're going to hire an interim. I'll speak to an interim director of finance. There's a few out there that are retired who have a ton of experience. Mrs. Burke is slated to leave on September 29th. There was just no way we could get the schools up and running. We had to put the schools first. We have some good applicants, however, not enough to move forward at this time. So I am meeting with someone tomorrow who has a ton of experience, knows Ann very well. He's going to help us part-time if he agrees. And then we'll have someone in place who can then train the person that we hire. I'm looking forward to meeting him tomorrow, and I'll let you know how it goes. And that's where we are with that. And lastly, Rising Stars will happen, the program put on by the Cromwell Coalition for Children, who does so very much for us and our students. Will be Saturday at Pearson Park at 4 o'clock, so please feel free to join us. We are going to honor rising stars in our community, our kids. So that is it, unless you have any questions for me. The beginning of the school year has been the best that we've had in a very long time. Very smooth. Like we said, it felt very pre-COVID-like, and the kids are just so excited to be here, and the staff is re-energized and ready to go.
Sounds great. All of our open houses are underway or already taking place.
Or I think we're done.
I attended a couple. They were very well attended, I thought. So nice job with that. Did anyone have any questions other than that? Dr. Macri? All right, then we will move on to presentations and reports of administration. And for that, we have Ms. Burke one final time for the budget update. Reference B in your packet.
So we did it. We got to the end of last year. We had a little bit of a surplus left, $7,521 and change. As we do each year, we'll ask you to approve the administration to go to a Board of Finance meeting and ask if they would allow us to put that into our non-lapsing fund. And we talked about how we should use this money, and we have had middle school media center heating and cooling issues, so we did correct those problems. So we'd like to use these excess funds specifically to help offset the cost of that project. So that's what we ended up with. I filed the 22-23 EFS report on before September 1st, which was the due date, and so our numbers are final at this point. And if there's any questions that you have regarding last year, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
Any questions, anyone? Alan?
What were the costs over the summer? You talked about we had some HVAC and some other issues. Do you have an aggregate of what we unexpectedly...
For that specific project, it was just...
Unexpectedly spent this summer?
Yeah, it was definitely unexpected. It was just under $40,000.
That was just the middle school, right?
That's
'Cause
correct.
There were some other issues, I think, too, that were...
It's specific to the CMS media library area.
Okay. So there were some other things, too, like, and I know the freezer and cooler was covered, but then there was unforeseen asbestos with that. Was that...
There was it wasn't a tremendous
I'm just trying to get an
cost,
idea of, like,
and
what the total was for all, because it sounds like there
Sure.
was 10 or 12 issues that kind of came out of nowhere?
Well,
Just trying to get an
the
idea.
ECS project has been planned for almost a year.
Okay.
We did not think there was asbestos underneath the refrigerator and freezer. It was completely hidden, and when they took them out, there was a small area, maybe the size of 2 of these tables, maybe not even that large. So it was a small remediation project. That project went very well. Those funds are not paid for. Those projects are not paid for with these funds, because our cafeteria has available funds to
Okay.
cover that project. So that did not impact the LEA side of it. But they have a gorgeous new fridge freezer over at ECS. So, and it was a long time coming. I don't recall, other than the media center, emergency wise, we did have a few rooms that were hot that we needed to do some window air conditioning units, relatively small costs. I believe there were 2 rooms at the middle school, and we did decide to go with the lower cost option because it's
Obvious
going to be a new
reasons,
school. I can't think of anything else. Did you have something specific that
We
you
talked about it during the facilities committee, but if Lynn is still here, is Lynn here? No, there was a couple other things that we didn't expect that happened, but we can get you a list of that with all the pricing of what happened. I think there was 12 things that we did, and I think 5 were expected and planned, and the other 7 were not. But I believe that's what Lynn said, and we can send that
Yeah,
information.
and, I mean, Lynn was very helpful and able to give kind of a rough idea. I'm just trying to get
A handle on the
maybe
big.
yeah, because
Yeah,
it
I can
sounds
get
like
I can get that
the-
list from Lynn and kind of I'll just quick go through it and see match up.
okay. I mean, I know the 39,000 for the library media center.
Yeah. That's in current year.
CMS.
That's
So-
current year, 23, 24.
Okay.
Not in here.
Okay.
So we will.
Yeah. And that's what you
Do
want.
what we need to do.
You want a list of things that we did not know were going to happen that we have now incurred for 23, 24 school. Yeah, that's what
Okay.
we want.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
Yeah,
I was. This time of the year, I'm working on like 3 different fiscal years. I have no idea which one we're trying to keep straight. But
Sorry, I was
yeah,
not
that's
clear
okay.
on that at all. But
That's
thank you.
okay. Because the next thing we're going to talk about is budget calendar for 24, 25.
I can't wait.
I know.
Lori, did you have a question
Exciting.
still?
I just remember over the summer at the high school, Mr. Cook, remember there was something with the air conditioning during ESY, like there was like a hallway where the air conditioning went or something. There was water. I don't know. I just remember.
Related to the
I
roof.
don't-
Yeah, I mean, we did have some
Yeah.
repairs.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was a big repair.
That was one.
Well, that wasn't a big repair then.
That was one, though.
That was
of
one.
the-
That was
Yeah,
one of them.
not like
Huge.
significantly material.
So that was one that happened, and that wasn't budgeted for, but we had to pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. In
Yeah.
this year,
Yeah.
this
Yep.
this fiscal
Current.
year.
Yeah, 23, 24.
Right.
And it happens to us all throughout the year with facilities because you don't really you create your budget based on what you think maintenance. The repair side of it's real tricky because you don't know which rooftop unit or which boiler. So we do throughout the year we need to shift our priorities, over and over and over to meet whatever the current issue might be at that time. Sometimes they're small, sometimes it's just a relatively inexpensive fix, and unfortunately the CMS media was a bigger problem, and
So
we
like
did take
always,
care of it.
it's safety and security of our students and staff, making sure our students are getting the services they need in special education and regular education, but primarily special education, and fixing our facilities to make sure that kids can actually come to school and staff is in a safe space. Those are the 3 biggest priorities, and then we look at everything else with instruction being right there. That's how we saved money. You guys saw we had to freeze the budget, and I'm starting the year off with everything, with the administrators looking at everything that's being ordered, and then with a stop at Ann, our new person who's coming in, and myself, just because we have to assume that that's going to happen again. We already have students with special needs that we did not expect in our district, and we're very happy to have them, and we're honored to serve them, but we need to make sure we can take care of them and pay for everything.
Okay, so is there an action to request the $7,521.16 to be transferred from the town's general fund back into our non-lapsing education fund? I saw Matt. Is there a second? Lori, all in favor? Oppose? Abstentions? Motion carries. And then we also needed to approve reference F, which is the budget calendar for 2024-2025. If you want to just take a quick look at it, and then we'll vote on that too.
So I've just done a rough outline for you. Some of these dates may change, and some dates we don't know yet because we don't necessarily have our Board of Education meeting schedule set for next year, and the town won't set their meeting until probably March timeframe. So those last two dates, we'll update the calendar as we move closer into those dates. So just, we're getting ready to start in a month with staffing needs will come in first, and then we ask the budget proposals from the building level, facilities, special education, capital outlay, central administrative. We ask for all those to begin on the 12th, and roughly a little over a month to get those completed. We use Google Docs, so we can share those and see updates as they're happening. So between the point at which the raw budget data is handed in until the end of January budget meeting, there's a lot of work that happens with meetings going back and forth and decisions being made as to what our priorities are going to be in terms of budgeting. Then we'll have at least one other board meeting to discuss and go over questions. And I think in the past, occasionally we've added another one if we feel that we need one. And then we'll take it to the town after that point in time.
Okay. Are there any questions on that? Thanks for explaining that to us all. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the budget development calendar for 2024-2025? Kelly Cloutier, second by Dipty. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries, and the budget development calendar is approved. Thank you, Anne, and best of luck to you. This will
Thank
be your
you.
last meeting with us. We're very
really
sad, but
enjoyed-
thanks for everything you've done.
I've really enjoyed my time here, and it's a great group of people, and thanks for everything you guys do for these kiddos. They're lucky to have each and every one of you, so thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, round of applause. Okay. Okay, under new business, we have Mr. Stephen St. Ange, our District Teacher of the Year. And Dr. Macri, will you be introducing him? Is he here?
I would be honored
There he
to
is.
introduce him, yes. So Mr. St. Ange is our Cromwell Middle School and our District Teacher of the Year. He's an amazing social studies teacher. He truly loves his students and the profession. Any of you that have had the opportunity to work with him or talk with him, I'm sure you already know that. He's constantly striving to improve his teaching practices to meet the academic needs of all of our students. And if you walk into his classroom, have one conversation with him, you will instantly notice that he embodies the true definition of an excellent teacher that we all admire. Mr. St. Ange knows each and every one of his students, past and present. He takes the extra time to ensure that he is educating the whole child. He makes every child feel successful and like a capable learner. And most importantly, he's a valued member, and he makes them feel like a valued member of their classroom and their entire school community. It really is my true pleasure to introduce Mr. Stephen St. Ange as Cromwell's 2023 Teacher of the Year. And here's Mr. Stephen St. Ange, if he'd like to come up and say a few words. He's being shy.
I'm sure he has a few words to share.
Just a few.
All right. Hi, everybody. I feel like this is kind of like a parent-teacher conference because I have so many of you that in my past and future and current. So, and I also apologize, Mrs. Coachiola and Mrs. Millbrooks definitely played the mom role tonight as I came in with schmutz all over my shirts from my children. We were playing a very rousing game of hide and seek before I had to skedaddle out of here, so I apologize if I'm a little disheveled. But I do want to thank you all just for your support that you have shown me like throughout the years. I know that I'm not the most conventional teacher, but every single time that I've come before the board, y'all have been so supportive of every single initiative that I brought before you. I've seen and felt the love and care that you also have for the students. It's evident in every single action that you do. Like, I could not be more grateful to be in Cromwell because of how supportive you all are. You really, like, you stay true to the motto. You put the students first. You care about them. And from that leadership of all of you, like, it trickles down to us. So I want to thank all of you. I know that this is kind of like my thing, and I definitely own that in my speech, if any of you saw that with my crown. But I really, truly want to thank all of you for everything that you've done to make sure that these kids are successful.
Wow. Well, I think I'm speechless because that's the first time anyone has ever said that back to the board. But this is about you, so thank you. And I mean, your convocation performance was amazing, and it's just so evident how much you love your students. You even showed letters that he'd written. Now, I'm not talking about a paragraph, like long, lengthy letters to students in his class. You can tell he loves what he does. So wish you the best. I think you probably are eligible to go to states, or is that happening this week? Thursday? So best of luck. I hope to hear the good news at the next meeting. But either way, congratulations.
And we do have a gift for you from the Board of Ed. Public Schools.
I hope that you adapted it for me. I did. Thank you all very much. I really appreciate it.
Congratulations again. Now go get back to those kiddos at home.
He'll probably spend it on his classroom.
Okay, next on the agenda is our ESS update, Effective School Solutions. And for that, do we have Ms. Sarah O'Leary? Okay.
Hello. I invited Ramsey just because she is in the swing of the day-to-day happenings of ESS. So she's going to stand up here with me. I have it up on my computer so I can see it. This is just a very brief update, an ESS update. I know we had talked about providing you an update this summer, but we felt it was probably best while everybody was back. We could do it now. So currently I have some data numbers for you where we are with ESS. Right now we have 12 active students. Total students served, we had 21, but that means we dismissed 8 of them. I know the math's not right. There was one student that never fully got dismissed because they moved out before they were able to exit or graduated from the high school, so that's why the numbers don't completely jive. But some other data points. This was with the help of our ESS supervisor, Allison Whitman, who you all met last year, but she helped me pull some really, I think, valuable information that may help you understand kind of how we're working this at the high school. Average weekly services per student. So it's 3.84, and that means I had to have her explain this to me so I could explain it to you.
Siri, do you have it on a slide? Are you going to forward the slide?
Oh,
You have the
my
clicker.
clicker. Matt, you shouldn't have given it to me.
Matt's like, I gave it to her.
Thanks. There we go. So 3.84 means each student on an average has 3 or more interactions per week. So that's where the 3.84, an interaction means it could be a scheduled counseling session. It could be a crisis that they go to the ESS space for, but it's an average of 3 interactions or more a week with the ESS staff. Family adherence rate means families that are adhering to the model, which means they're attending both sessions required each month, which means there's a group and an individual family therapy session. So they have to attend both to get this point, I'll call it. So 36%, which seems, yes, kind of low, but these are for the families that are attending both. They do have a very good rate of family participation. they may not always be attending both the group and the individual sessions per month, but that's okay. So I just wanted to give you that information. The student engagement rate is 69%, which I would say is pretty good.
Are those numbers off the 12 active or the 21 total that we served?
That's a good question.
You can circle back.
I actually I think it's the 21 total served because it was out of an overall when she presented this data to me in a little bit different format. I put it on this slide for you so you could understand it, but I'm pretty sure it's 21 total served, but I'll find out just so I can let you guys know. So like I said, 8 students have exited, which means they've successfully completed the program or graduated. And this was eye-opening for me to understand. 84 hours of therapeutic intervention have been provided by the ESS staff, which is our 2 social workers that we talked about. And these are for crisis situations that are not scheduled. So our, we'll say, money well spent is we're taking those 84 hours out of our other counseling support staff, and they have been dealt with through the ESS staff, taking that, off of their hands and letting them handle other crisis situations, obviously, that come up in the building. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah. Oh.
Sorry. Of those 8 students that successfully completed the program and still in high school, are they being followed by anyone, or do they get any other services?
Yeah. So I don't know if Ramsey wants to help chime in too. The students that have, well, they graduated, right?
Right.
I would say followed maybe wouldn't be the right word, but check-ins, if students are still struggling, we go back to, meetings on them. They have weekly ESS meetings with the team.
Mm-hmm.
So if things come up or pop up in terms of students that have exited, and again, I don't want to speak for Ramsey, but.
Typically when a student is exited from ESS in the program.
Can you come to the podium? Sorry.
So as we all know, ESS is a very new program for CHS, so we're sort of learning the nuances of it. But our goal is that we sort of have a tiered approach to it. So ESS is for our students who are in most need of support during their school day. So when we feel that ESS is no longer the service that they need with that required level of TLC and support and intervention, we're partnering with Root, which is a school counseling program that is essentially kind of like renting a chair at a hair salon. They come in, they service students from counseling. We're referring them back out to Root because it's a less invasive support, but still gives them that sort of level of care and extra eyes. Like Mrs. O'Leary said, we meet weekly with ESS for reports on every single student, and then ESS and Root and myself and our school social worker meet every Friday to talk about students who are transitioning in or out of the ESS program.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah.
The engagement rate of 69%, can you just elaborate on exactly what do you mean by engagement? Is it students that are just, they don't want to be there, or
They're participating in the group and the individual therapy session. That's the engagement. Sometimes they have resistance, so obviously it's not 100%, but 69% are on board, going to the ESS space, utilizing it, going to their scheduled group and individual therapy sessions. That's what that engagement means for students.
Are you finding that students are less likely to attend the group sessions, or in families less likely to attend group sessions versus the individual?
So most students are on board with the individual counseling session. Some of our students are not on board with that group session because there's a level of trust with disclosing your most personal thoughts and feelings and struggles with a group of people that you may not know yet. While our ESS clinicians work tirelessly to partner with families, and their partnership with families has helped us from the administration standpoint tremendously, not all families are engaged in that level of care for their students for a variety of reasons.
So you ask what ESS is doing, where do we get this information from? So what they're offering right now to our students, we talked about the weekly individual therapy, the group therapy, which is twice a week. The families participate in the biweekly family therapy sessions, which we had spoke about a little bit. There's a learning strategies class that we actually didn't implement last year because we had started mid-year and it wasn't built into the schedule. So that's twice a week. For support with academics, but it's only for our ESS students, so it's kind of like a nice hub for them to go, and they can work on academics. So that's something that's new that I'm excited to see kind of the growth with that this year. Students have the option for structured lunch as needed, which are, sessions that are as needed if they're struggling. Home visits our social workers through ESS make to support students with absenteeism and helping them get back to school. There's parent support group. The social workers provide classroom observations and interventions as needed, and the clinicians are present at school meetings. They have the weekly meetings, and then, PPTs as well. And the focus, and this is not an exhaustive list by any means, but crisis management. I actually had the clinicians help create some of these slides. So they say they act as a 211 within the school, right? They're the first kind of line of to go to when there is a crisis situation, and hopefully it become averted before having to call 211 or 911. Not always, like we know that's a reality, but that's why they're there. They help with school and class avoidance, substance use, variety of mental health diagnoses such as anxiety and depression, which is probably one of the most prevalent nowadays. Relationship, peer conflict issues, family stressors, collaboration with school staff, guidance, nurse, teachers, administration, psychoeducation with students, staff, and families. So that's their focus, like I said, not exhaustive. And then the impact right now, we have returned students back from outplacement. We returned some back last year that we talked about, and this year we did start with students that came back from outplacement and went right into the ESS as a Tier 3 support. There are students right now that we're transitioning back from outplacement, slow transition. Some have a partial day, 2 or 3 periods at the high school, and they also are a part of ESS. We have several students who are currently were at risk of outplacement and have successfully remained in the district due to ESS. We have increase in GPA and decrease in absences and disciplinary actions for students enrolled in the program. And we continue, as you know, to review the data and programming for students to make informed decisions, because ESS is not for everyone, and we need to be mindful of that. And if there's other avenues we need to take, as a team, we're all about what's best for the students. So that is my brief update on ESS. And, I'm, again, continuing to monitor the growth of the program. It hasn't even been a full year yet, only been half a year. So excited to see and have it continue to grow at the high school and support our students. Every day I would say we're learning. The social workers are still learning what works best for the students and the building and the program. So I think so far we're happy with the success of the program. Yeah.
Great. Questions?
I was going to ask Enza and Sari this. Is there any plan, like, if this is a pretty successful program, to bring that into the middle school in the future?
So we've talked about this, and I don't say absolutely no way. I say maybe let's continue to talk about it as we perfect it at the high school level. My experience at the middle school level, because you all know that I worked with ESS before, it's been extremely successful at the high school level. At the middle school level, it's not always as successful. You have to have the right resources and the right space. And the sad part right now is we really do not have we don't have the space, period, at all at the middle school. So that is a concerning factor. I'm not saying no forever. I think it's something we need to continue to think about and look into, and do we have enough students at the middle school who could benefit from it? But most importantly is, do we have the space to run it effectively and efficiently? And the answer right now is no, unfortunately. But in 2 years, that could change.
Matt, go ahead.
So this to me is the most important slide that you have. It's the impact that this program is having on families, and really that benefits the entire school community, right? I like to see that we're bringing kids back from outplacements. Really, I think my question overall is, the program, there's a cost associated with the program. Do you, in your professional opinion, and I can include you in this as well, do you at this point feel that, if it hasn't yet, but will in the long term, do you feel that the cost of the program is worth what we're getting back from it? Is it, we're always concerned about, we want to do what's best for the kids, first and foremost, but we also have to be mindful of budgeting. So the cost associated with this, do we see that it's both helping kids and saving us money long term in the district? I guess was the investment worth it, I guess, is really the bottom line.
Yes, the return of investment is excellent. If you want me to give you numbers,
I don't want specifics. 'Cause I don't want to get
because
into.
you don't know
I don't
the
want
in
to
and
get
outs
into right.
and confidentiality.
That's what I'm
It has
concerned about.
definitely saved us from outplacing students, which is we want our kids to be educated here. Number one, no doubt about it, with the right services, and we have excellent clinicians. We really nailed it with our clinicians. We're doing really good by kids. As far as financially, I say yes because it's preventative too. So we don't know who we would have had to outplace otherwise. And it's still slow moving as we're bringing kids back, but at least we are bringing kids
It's
back.
been less
They're
than a
starting
year.
to
I
trust.
mean-
Yeah, it's going to take a couple of years for parents to really trust. The main thing is don't outplace them so we don't have to bring them back, and that'll help.
Well, and
and if
keeping
Siri has anything.
keeping our students in the community is ultimately what's best for them.
Absolutely.
They maintain the
There
connection
is
to
no
their
doubt about
friendships,
it.
and we know that when kids are outplaced, they start to lose those connections, and we don't.
Once
want
we
that.
lose them to an outplacement, and I'm not 100% convinced, right, that when we do, that it's better for them. I'm not. What I do know is that what we have and what we can offer here, sometimes we don't have that either,
Right.
which is why we are left with no other choice. But when we outplace a student, we have now tried every single thing. We want them to remain here. And I know the difference between once you lose them, it's really hard to get them back.
And I agree. I was first going to say it's a hard answer to answer your question, financial impact right now, but I would love to, in a few months from now have more information. I do think, yes, at the end of the day, it does help us financially, but I also think there are students that are not a fit for this program, so we can't even use that as a comparison, right? So it's not apples to apples. But I think for the students that it serves and the students we've brought back, I would say yes, it has financially, helped us so far.
And when we
Awesome.
first,
Thank you.
When we first agreed to do this, there were certain levels, I remember, and we had gone with kind of the middle of the road option, I think, as far as how many clinicians and everything. And do you think that's been the right amount? And how much longer do we have before we have to reconsider what we're doing with that?
So the contract is up at the end of this school year.
Okay.
So in the springtime, we'll have discussions about reconsidering. But I think for now, Ramsey and I speak a lot about it. We think the 2 clinicians is sufficient, definitely.
Great.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you. We'll see you in a few months then with another update, hopefully. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item C, graduation discussion with possible action. We have June 11th on here because that's currently what the calendar reads as our last day of school. I shared with you all a letter from SafeGrad President Terry Lambert and also the treasurer Ann Fagan, who was trying to see if we could get June 10th on the books because they were having some issues with Quasi, which is where they'd like to have the event. So after much back and forth, we finally figured out that we can actually change the date to set it prior to June 11th. I'm sorry, were you going to talk about this? I didn't even notice you up there.
Not if I don't need to, we're good.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
June 10th would be great.
June 10th is okay with you? You don't see any issues with that?
Nope.
Okay. So we just had to schedule it 180 days out, starting at the beginning of the school year. I know other districts do the same thing. And the one date that they do have open right now is June 10th. So that is, I believe,
Monday.
Monday, right?
Yep. Monday, June 10th, yes.
Right. So there are other dates, obviously, but that puts us out. If we don't have snow days, then it's after the end of the school year. So like we could do, I think the 13th was another option. But if we don't have snow days, then there's 2 days of no school and then graduation, which wouldn't be ideal. Does anyone have questions? Lori?
So that's based on no snow days, which we know probably isn't going to be the case. So if, say, there was one snow day, I'm just playing this out. So if there was one snow day, so in the case of a snow day, Terry can call and they'll honor it and move it to the next day.
We don't
But-
actually have to worry about snow days anymore for seniors.
Oh,
So
okay.
the statute says, and so now that I really understand it, I can
Okay.
explain it really well.
All right,
Because
good.
I've gotten a couple messages from different, because I try to use free lawyers right through CABE. That never works. So we set our calendar. You set this calendar last year. When you set this calendar, we have 183 school days as the Cromwell Board of Education.
But you only have to have
We only
180.
have to have 180 school days. When you set this calendar, which was last year, up until that date, you then can say the 180th day is June 6th. So you're allowed to go back as far as June 6th to have graduation.
Okay.
Even if it snows, even if we close the building, the kids, the seniors only, if they graduate with 175 days, it's okay.
175.
It doesn't matter. It could even be a little bit less than that.
So you're
so there is
saying
really, the
if
intention is,
if something horrible happened and we had to close for 2 weeks or whatever, you're
Right.
saying it wouldn't matter.
no. Our intention was good. We set this calendar. You are making an informed decision today that we are going to be here, God willing, on June 6th, which is really the 180th day. So you're making a decision to say, okay, we know June 6th is the 180th day. However, Cromwell has 3 days extra per an agreement that was made a long time ago. And you now, our last day of school will still be June 11th. And if it snows, we still have to have those days, but the graduates will not have to come after the 10th, after they graduate. And
Okay.
it's legal.
Because I know there was talk about quasi-honor snow days. If say there's a snow day, if you call them and say there's a snow day, they'll move it. But then what I was thinking was if if we had one snow day, they could move it to the 11th. But it wasn't available on the 11th. So then what would
And then
it
some
was
of us
like-
have
It's too. It would be
and
too
some
late.
of-
By the time we had a snow day, they'd be booked.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
what I was. I don't even know how they would
No,
be
they
able
wouldn't.
to.
So
All of it
technically,
would
no one
happen.
should have the snow day issue anymore anyway,
No.
so.
This is perfect for on many reasons. One is Project Grad. The other families can plan now. They know they have a definite date, plane tickets, everything else they have to do there. It's just all around helpful to have that firm end date for our seniors, and they can get out and start working and preparing for the next phase of their life.
So that's a Monday, right?
It is a Monday.
So what will happen with our calendar that I bring to you next month, I'm going to have a last day of school, and we should, because now we're going to be a whole year out, vote on that last day being graduation, and then immediately tell the parents who are working on Project Rad to go ahead and book Quasi a whole year out, so this never happens again. You know what I mean?
Oh.
So that we never
because-
have to do this
right,
again.
This year it was just because that date was taken already.
Yeah. Otherwise, we would have been fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, we could have done the Friday before, but that's a date that's been reserved by another
Oh, it
district,
is?
and then the 12th was also reserved. So the 10th is what they're requesting. So that's what they're asking for. And if we're all in agreement, we can vote on it tonight and make it official, and they can put their deposit down.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right. Is there a motion to? Okay. Kelly Franklin, and second by Jen Lamberson. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Graduation will be June 10th. Okay. We have 2023 on here. 2024. Okay.
The whole thing is wrong.
All right, moving on. Thank you very much, Mr. Kuckel. To the SAT scores and high school next generation science standards scores review by Dr. Carrie McLean. Reference D in your packets.
Good evening, everyone. So I want to share with you, you have in your packets some very high-level data, an overview. We're going to put together, once we have our fall data, we'll put together all of the accountability data for you, but we wanted to share these highlights with you from our high school. So what you're looking at is where we compare in terms of our ranking within our DIRG. So on math, last year we did better than 11 towns in our DIRG. And this year we did better than 17. So we are moving quickly in the right direction with math in terms of SAT. No, I just get, they have the. Oh, I didn't put them. Yeah, so I didn't put them in. They
You
were-
said 11 towns in our DIRG. You're looking at the math
I'm
DIRG?
looking at,
For-
so on the SAT math.
Oh, sorry.
Last
Okay,
year,
last
last
year.
year we did better than 11. This year we did better than 17.
Oh, okay.
So we're moving towards that, towards the top of our DIRG,
Mm-hmm.
in the right direction. For ELA, we didn't have quite the same results, but we did move. Last year we did better than 7 towns in our DIRG, and this year we did better than 9. We do have a literacy focus at this point. Even when I started here, math was really a strength for Cromwell Public Schools and science. And so we're really, as a district, going to focus on the literacy piece going forward. We have a literacy plan that I can share with you when we look at the data moving forward. That's really where we have to put our energy in the coming year. And then NGSS, this is fantastic data. Last year we did better than 9 towns in our DIRG, and this year we did better than 20 towns in our DIRG. So we are 4th in our DIRG out of 24 towns for science, which, it's not easy to get high school students to take a science assessment that really doesn't have a ton of return of investment for those kids. So, this really kind of shows their commitment to doing their best and our teachers' commitment to engaging students in the assessments as well. Yeah.
Do we ever talk to, the top schools like Old Saybrook, East Lyme, and say
All the time.
okay,
Yeah.
what are you doing? You're doing
Yes.
amazing things.
And
Like,
what's funny?
what
We
could
have a
be
lot of
doing
the same
differently?
programs. We really do. I do talk with Old Saybrook often, Rocky Hill, East Lyme, even our consortium towns, we talk often. And it's, we have a lot of the same programming. I think it does come down to delivery, and at the secondary level there's more nuance in terms of curriculum. It's not as structured as it is in the elementary years. You go up and you have more electives and you have things like that, and so it's not as streamlined at the secondary level. But yeah, we talk all the time, and I think it's just sometimes I feel like we're doing everything we need to do.
I think that something that everyone's forgetting, and I said this when I first got hired, and it's year 5. And so we can't forget there was 2 years that stopped the world. So now let's go to year 3. When I got hired, this is my area of expertise, curriculum and instruction. Carrie's as well, Dr. McLean's as well. We've done a pretty darn good job at fixing it somewhere else. The problem is we did not have a curriculum in Cromwell. You were told that you had a curriculum. You did not have a curriculum. You did not have a standards-based curriculum. We are working on a standards-based curriculum. We have experts working with our teachers. Everybody is growing, but you need 7 good years, and we are not there yet. The fact that we made this much growth is tremendous. Am I happy with it? I'm never happy. I'd like to be at
We
the
need to
top.
be number one.
I like to be number 1 all the time. So I'm always asking a ton of questions like you are. However, it does take time because it has to start down low. And we are still trying to perfect that. And you're going to see a little bit of a different story when we review Smarter Balance scores. And it's not that for lack of trying. We just have to get the curriculum to be aligned. And if the state continues to change the model curriculum, which they are doing yet again, we're going to have problems. I'm not surprised with some of this. I'm surprised, honestly. I'm not surprised with literacy. We know what we need to do. We started last year. We made huge adjustments with instruction, especially with small group instruction. Our teachers very rarely pulled small groups. They are doing that. Now we have to do it really well, and it has to be targeted, and that's our focus. And everyone has a literacy focus in the entire district, no matter what you teach.
We have to go back to the reading across the curriculum days, where we're doing reading strategies in all of our content levels. Some of that kind of went by the wayside, so we're bringing all of those strategies back. And like Dr. Macri said, we're really working on providing students, because our students, they are all in different places and they need different things, and so we're really trying to provide teachers with the most effective strategy to address those gaps in learning, or accelerating some of our students by providing them with strategies that they can work with a small group and target what that particular group's needs are. And so that's something that we're working on. It's a work in progress, where that's going to be our main focus. That's our main differentiation strategy this year. So we're gonna put a lot of emphasis on that. And I think we'll see growth, but we are seeing growth in math and science, and so that is great progress. I mean, I feel like, there's wins there, and we know that literacy still is something that we're going to continue to work on.
We have to become home of the champions of academics in Cromwell. And this is true. In having conversations with superintendents, these are all people that I know very well. Testing is taken very seriously in a lot of these districts, and a lot that are, we have had people mention that our students don't take it seriously and they don't like the test and they don't care. That has to change. That's a cultural shift with our educators and with our families. We
right.
have to make sure that teachers and parents are taking this seriously. And how are we going to do that? We have a whole plan in place of how we're going to get families more engaged.
communication
But it
plan.
has to become a community engagement. It is serious. If we're going to be compared to Rocky Hill, then we need to take it as serious as they do. If we're going to be compare ourselves to Glastonbury, we can't have it both ways. Compare ourselves sometimes and not other times. We have to take it seriously. And there was a little bit of a pushback when I first got here about that. And we can't afford it anymore, because this is our report card. This is a reflection of how we perform. So I will never blame the students. I will always say the adults need to do better at helping our kids, because they don't know any better. It's what we do. It's our actions.
Do you guys have questions?
When will we see the fall data?
I would say, we can do it when
For the SBAC, is that
I
what
want to
you're
do
referring
the smarter. Yeah, so we'll do the accountability data once we have all of the fall benchmark testing too, because we can share that with you as well. November maybe.
And then we can show you with that data. I think it's important, and we've skipped this piece in the past. We don't show you the growth data all the time. So even though our kids have not made it to proficiency, a lot of our kids have made huge
making growth.
And it's important for us to share that with you. They haven't made it to that next level, but they're on their way. And so Dr. McLean and her team is going to put that
we really broke the data down
together too.
Quite a bit this year to really kind of dig in and see what's really going on with the numbers and what they're telling us.
When did we start taking the NGSS?
They take it 5, 8, and 11.
But when did it start?
Oh, when did it start?
2000.
Yeah, because it was after the Smarter Balance, by a couple years. Yeah, maybe.
2018, I think.
Maybe.
It was.
Yeah,
Oh,
20. I don't.
long enough ago that we
Yes.
have data
Yeah.
for it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, kudos to everyone involved, the curriculum
Sorry,
team, and
Selena,
all
can I
the.
just
Oh, you
ask
have
one
another
more
question? Sure.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I would love a little bit in November when we talk about it, a little more information about how you're implementing students and families taking testing more seriously. And I could be off, but I feel like we've discussed so many times where in the traditional classroom setting, we're moving towards not testing and giving alternate ways for students to, participate. So it is a bit of a mixed message. So I would like to just see how you're planning on rolling that out to get the buy-in, because I agree, this is our report card. So everyone should be bought in, but it's a little bit of mixed messaging.
It is part of our district improvement plan, our school improvement plans, and my goal setting with the principals and with Carrie. So yes, we're going to show you how we're going to still have authentic performance assessments and yet prepare our students for standardized testing. Okay.
All right. Thank you for all of your hard work, and to all the teachers and the students who took the tests. It's really good news. Laura, you have a question? Sure.
Just on what she's referring to, was that more at the high school level where they were given options on, to showcase versus the younger years, or is that all the way through when they're?
There's all kinds of assessments, and I'm not going to go through all of them with you, but you could call me tomorrow and I'll talk about it for hours. 'Cause
Lori,
we love
it does
Lori.
happen a lot at the high school. There's papers, there's projects, there's other ways.
No, it's great.
I just remember prior conversations when Mr. Kuckel was talking, and I feel like sometimes there's more opportunities when they're older to showcase. Am
Yeah.
I right about that?
Yes,
or?
they still, at the younger levels where, we have performance tasks and things like that, but they still have assessments. They still have their regular unit assessments at the elementary level and at the middle school level, but we are, we do like them to apply what they've learned in a project-based, authentic learning arena. But that doesn't take away from, you need to know how they did on this particular unit. Sometimes you have to do that. So that is still happening, I think, at all levels, but it doesn't happen as much at the elementary level as it does at the secondary level.
And when you share this next year, do you think maybe you'll be able to show the growth from prior years? I know you did talk about it, but
yes,
just
yes,
to see how we did
we do a
from this
trend
year to
data.
next
We'll
year,
give
yeah.
you trend data. Yes.
Great. All right. Well, thank you. And from that, we'll move on to item E, the U.S. News and World Report ranking for Cromwell High School, reference E in your packets. And Mr. Kuckel, will you introduce that?
I'd love to.
All right. I thought you would.
Sure. So Cromwell High School was recently placed 87th in terms of our rank amongst public high schools in the state of Connecticut. And simultaneously, we were also recognized as a top 40% school in terms of the nation, which is based on interesting data. And so I would just caution, in terms of these reports, I think people put a lot of stock in them, but they are not good indicators of our current progress, not even remotely close. Most folks don't look at the data in terms of what their data sources are. Most of the data that U.S. News and World Report pulls from is from the 2020-21 school year. So that was our hybrid year, if you recall. And they also pulled data from 2018-19. So in terms of some of the because ultimately our ranking is contradictory to some of the data you just saw. Our NGS scores are strong. Our math scores are very strong. We're not going to see that in this report for a few more years, based on how they pull the data from that. And so, they look at graduation rates, which for us are always high. They look at other data they pull. Again, it's all from the 2020-21 school year. How many of our seniors took and passed an AP exam during their 4-year career at Cromwell High School? Again, those are students that are now juniors in college, and that's the data that they're pulling to then say, hey, here's how good you are. And it's not to dismiss the entirely. Obviously, would we like to move up higher in that? We certainly would. But with that said, some of the data you're going to see this year, we're going to say, well, wow, we're going in the right trend. We're doing pretty well. We're happy with the trajectory. But this U.S. News and World Reports is not accurate reflection of that based on where they're pulling or when they're pulling the data from. So I would just caution folks with that. There really is no reliable recent data that they pull. They're working 2 years behind.
May I also, and Mr. Kuckel or Dr. McLean, feel free to capitalize on this. So you get points for example, we just talked about performance data. If you look at our performance data, there's a few districts that we have outperformed in science, math, and ELA, yet they scored higher than us. So you also get points. They use so many different data points for this study. Methodology, it's Harvard even questions it, right? So you get points, for example, for how many AP courses you can offer. We offer so many AP courses. However, we can't offer any more because we don't have the space. We're a small high school, and we have nowhere to put them. And even if we did, we'd have about 4 or 5 students participating. So if we can't afford to spend $100,000, on staff when we're only going to have 4 or 5 kids participate. And you've heard me talk about this, the career pathways. We want to grow our shop program, our STEM program at the high school. We have one teacher that is doing all of it who loves doing it, and I would love to hire another person to do that. But then we won't have enough kids to take all those courses, which then again will make our class size small. So schools like, for example, larger schools, Bristol Central, I think it was, or Bristol Eastern, for example, they may show up as if they're higher than us because they offer so much more because they're a bigger high school. They get points for that. You get points for the diversity of the students in your school. So the diversity of the students in our school is our diversity of our students in our school. It is what it is. This is who lives here. You also get points for how many students of a diverse background are participating in AP courses and pass the assessment. So you can get points for a lot of things. Partnerships with colleges, the arts. We've been trying to grow our arts program for years. I'd love to offer more courses. We just don't have the capacity because we are a small high school. So I think it's important for everybody to know that these factors are also put into that as well. If you look at a lot of the schools who may have scored higher than us, you will notice that our test scores, our graduation rate are actually outperforming those schools. So we have to have an open mind and not jump the gun when we're looking at this information. And I think this is great to see. It's one piece of data, but like Mr. Kuckle said, be careful because it doesn't tell the whole story, the whole picture. If you want to know the whole picture, look at our kids. Our top two, we have a student who went to Villanova, UConn on a full ride. We have kids getting into good schools. I think we're doing okay. We need to do better. Absolutely. We always want to push to do better. But Cromwell High is a pretty awesome place to be.
And we got, and when we received the email that we were in the top 40%, accompanied with that email was the opportunity to purchase a plaque at about $400 a
Yes.
clip
So
to
we will
display in our
not be
school.
purchasing
So I would
that.
just take that for what it's worth.
Yeah.
You know.
So we can make our own pretty poster, but I want to share this with you. But I also said we are not buying we're not spending. We could spend that on our students.
Thank you for all that
unless
extra
you want us
context.
to. If you would like for us to buy it, we'd be more than happy to.
But I think that's the biggest thing is people see that report and assume it's an accurate reflection of where we are in the moment, and it's just not. It's lags quite a bit behind.
All right. Well, thank you for that context. Are there any questions related to this? That was pretty well explained, and I wouldn't have known it was 2 years behind. So thank you for that, and we'll see them in a couple of years. All right. Moving on to action item G, which is a stipend approval. Reference G in your packets. Any questions on that? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the stipends? Kelly, is there a second? Alan, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. And the stipends are approved for 2023-2024. Action item H, approval of the minutes and motions from the August 8th first special meeting, which is reference H in your packets. I'll abstain from that one. I wasn't there. Is there a motion to approve? Okay, so Lori and myself will abstain. Motion to approve. Okay, Dipty, second by Kelly Cloutier. All in favor? Opposed? And we stated the abstentions. Okay, so those are approved, and move on to minutes and motions from the August 15th second special meeting, referenced I. Is there a motion to approve those? Alan, second by Jen. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Lori, Matt, and Dipty. Okay. Motion carries. Item J is action and approval of the August 22nd, 2023 third special meeting. Reference J in your packets. I have to look at that one. I was there. All right, is there a motion to approve that meeting? Lori, second. Matt, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? By Jen, okay. And Kelly Franklin. Motion carries. And the minutes are approved. All right, that takes care of all the minutes. We'll move on to the informational human resources personnel activity, and that's reference K in your packets. So it's the beginning of the year. There's kind of a lengthy list. We know we've been doing a lot of hiring, a lot of hard work, getting people on board. Were there any questions specific to this? Should we have Michelle DeMoro come up? You have a question for her, Matt? Okay.
Good evening.
How are you?
Good.
Excellent. Just one question. Are any of these new hires filling new positions, or are these positions that existed that were vacated?
These are all positions that were vacated. Someone left, either retirement, resignation, and we just basically filled them.
Okay, so there's not new positions that have been created anywhere.
No, no. There is a title change for one position, but that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just ask a quick question? Paras, we do have some, I believe, positions that we have added because of a few students that we have. And I just want to make sure. I do think we added a couple just recently. Do you want Siri to come up?
In the vacancies, you mean, or new hires?
They might be under vacancies.
It might be
under vacancies. They're not. I don't know if they're under this one, but we do need, I think, 1 or 2 new positions.
Yeah.
So there are 3 paraprofessional positions listed under vacancies,
Yes.
and they're noted that they are choice funded for 1 year.
Yep.
So those are kind of
Well, those positions, we already hired 4. And those positions, they're not really new this year. We had them last year. We're in a position with CREC where they're funding us because they're not able to find paraprofessionals, and we have taken on that role for them of looking for them, and they're just basically funding us for those positions.
Okay.
But there are 2 new, is it 2, Sari, or 1?
Positions that we have to, paraprofessionals that we, like I explained at the end of the year, this is a number that we believe we would have for paraprofessionals, but anytime we have students that need para support,
we have service hours that have to be met.
yes.
There's a moral obligation and a legal
You got it.
obligation. that
And
goes
we're
with this.
there,
Yep.
and we will hire for our students above what we had anticipated we would need.
So we anticipated we would need X amount of service hours. We actually need more service hours, which takes more manpower.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got
And
it.
just to verify, we had 2 new students that moved in that we didn't anticipate, so those are 2 new paras.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Morrow. And we'll move on to the informational principal reports, reference L, M, N, and O in your packets. Any questions on those? All right. All right, we have no policies on for first read or second read. And board committee reports, we do have a committee report attached for policy, the end of year report, reference P in your packets. Thank you, Lori, for putting that together for us. And then board committee reports from facilities and technology. We met tonight. Anything you want to share, Jen? Mm-hmm. Is your mic on?
Yeah, sorry about that. So Dr. Macri already discussed the HVAC air quality grant program. We talked about the operations tracker and how 5 things on the list were completed, but 7 unforeseen things had to be repaired or replaced. The facilities assessment will begin on 9/18. That'll take about 4 to 6 weeks, and that'll help in creating the 5-year capital improvement plan. Grounds and infrastructure created an application for permission to put structures on school grounds, and that just needs town manager and town council approval. Did I sum that up okay? Yeah? Okay.
Thank you, Jen. Sure, Lori, go ahead.
Just to refresh my memory, so I think it's the HVAC grant you said that would include the air conditioning for the gym and other. Is that something that we're able to apply for now, or you have to do a study first, or where are we with that?
So, yes and no. We have, if we wanted to apply for this grant, and I have asked, the town manager to get back to me, we would need to start applying for this grant simultaneously as we are completing the facility study. It's a very different grant. It's very similar to the grant that you have to apply for. It comes under the District Offices of Administration, so DAS. So it's just like as if we were going to build a new school or renovate a new school. So you have to follow all the procedures of that same thing. So there's resolutions that I cannot, the town needs to enforce. So for example, the first one is they give me permission to submit an application for the grant that they're going to help us do. They need to also then have a building committee. It can't be the building committee for the middle school. They have to assign a new building committee. This all takes time through charter. So if you count back how long it would take, there's no way we'll be able to get it done by December 31st. I really don't believe that. What I'd like to happen is when the grant 1 came out, this is round 2, I started to try to put these wheels in motion so that we can apply for grant 2. The wheels have been put in motion a little bit slower than we like. So hopefully by doing this, when round 3 comes out, because we believe round 3 will come out, we will be ready to do this if we start doing these things.
So when would you anticipate roughly then round 3 would come out?
I have no idea.
Only the state knows that, right?
This school year?
I don't know. They're so,
Do you
this
wanna-
grant was supposed to come out a few weeks ago. and
Do
it
you want to
didn't.
send Lori the email that you sent off to the town to give her like the steps involved?
Sure.
Would that be helpful? To just see the process for why it's probably too much of a time crunch for December 31st?
I can send all of you the grant, the actual application. It explains all the resolutions
even
to
better.
you. And then you could see why it's complicated.
And this grant is partially, it's not 100% funded. We get 40.
Exactly.
And the town's got to pay 60%.
There's a matching, just like with the middle school, the
town's gotta
town
be on
has to
board.
be on board because there's a matching percentage here. So, right, if we say at that moment there's a formula, it all depends on the moment. Whatever the formula is at that moment, the town is responsible for matching it at 40%. So even though this is very important to us, and it's very important, it is very important, it's my main priority, right? That's why I'm the superintendent of schools. It may not be the town's priority because they may need a community center or something else. So even though we're getting grant funded money, the town still has to make sure they have the money to pitch in their matching grant.
Sorry about
It's a lot.
All right. Any other questions on that? All right. All right. Topics for future agendas and possible action to approve additional topics. Anyone have anything? I see ESS is on for December. Was that what we were aiming for, or were we doing sooner? I can't remember.
December was
December,
what we were
okay.
aiming for. We'll have a little more data. And then do you want to add Smarter Balance benchmark data to
Mhm.
November?
Yes.
You know, I don't
Jen.
Could we get an update on that new the pass system that they started last year at the
Smart
high
Pass?
school? Is it at the middle school now?
It
Because I
is at
think
the
my
middle
kids said they were using something. So can we get an update on that?
On Smart
At
Pass?
maybe on one of the next couple meetings.
Yep. Good idea. Anything else? All right. Comments, updates, and announcements from board members and administration. Let's start on this side. Kelly, anything? Dipti? Kelly.
I forgot to mention, sorry. Our SRO, Officer Pete Pizzarella, is back, and he got a standing ovation by the staff. He is so happy to be back. He's hit the ground running. He's amazing. And we also have hired our prior chief, Denise LaMontagne, to help us as an armed security guard. And everything is all set and running, and she's doing a great job. The kids love both of them, and our staff is very happy to have them on board. I'll know more about the second SRO. This is a long-term position for the armed security guard. Once we get our second SRO, the second SRO will replace the armed security guard, and I'll keep you posted.
Great. Happy to hear it. Lori, do you have anything? Jen? Alan? Matt? All right. Then we will go into our executive session for the purpose of discussing the superintendent's evaluation, possible action regarding her contract. Is there a motion to go into executive session? Kelly, is there a second? Kelly Cloutier. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries, and we'll invite in All right, we're back in public session at 8:45, and we had one item for executive session, and that was the purpose of discussing Dr. Macary's evaluation and the possible action to approve her evaluation and contract. Is there a motion to do so? To approve her contract? I saw Dipty, second by Kelly. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries, and our contract is approved. Congratulations.
Thank you, everyone. It's my honor to serve your children, our children, and thank you for trusting them in my care. That's all I have to say.
All right, and we're grateful to have you.
Thank you.
Okay, and any other questions? Motion